Vazquez. Now, Hernan has worked with some of the biggest brands out there. You know, him and his company as a digital agency have worked with, check out, have you heard these names before? I know you have. The names like Grant Cardone, like Anthony Robbins, like Russell Brunson, Frank Kern, and many, many, many more. So he knows what he is doing. It's been in the digital marketing space for over 13 years. Welcome, Hernan. How are you doing?
Hey, Mac. Hey, everyone. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
We were talking earlier on. He's right now and he's in Argentina, Buenos Aires, Argentina. So thank you for jumping on. I really appreciate that.
No problem.
No
My
problem.
pleasure.
Usually at this stage, Hernan, I usually start by asking about your entrepreneurial background. How did you get started as an entrepreneur, or have you been an entrepreneur your entire life? Go ahead.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I haven't. I certainly haven't been an entrepreneur my entire life. As you correctly say, I'm from Argentina. I'm from Buenos Aires, third world country. I was born and raised here. And, kind of the run of the mill was always, go to college, get good grades, go to school, get a job, that type of stuff. And I did it. Like, that's what I did. I come from a, middle-class family here. And that's what I did. I went to school. I got good grades. I got graduated. I went to university and whatnot. And then I got a job, I got a couple jobs actually before I finished high school. So I wasn't necessarily an entrepreneur since the beginning, but I was really interested in that. And one of the reasons that I think that was the case is because, my parents early in their lives, they've been involved in MLM marketing. They joined a couple of MLM companies and whatnot. And that worked to a degree and it didn't work to another degree. But the reality is that they had a lot of books, right, in my house. Like, I was a little kid and we had a lot of books like Think and Grow Rich, right, by Napoleon Hill. We had How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. So we had those type of books. And so I was like 11, 12, 13 years old. I was reading those books. So that kind of make a big impact on me, moving forward. But as I was saying, I didn't start like this. I actually had a really good job after college. I got a really good job doing what I studied. I studied communication in university. So I went out of university. I got a really good job. It was a walking distance from my house. It was really great, right? But then, at some point I knew that I wanted more. I knew that I wanted to kind of explore what the entrepreneurial world and life would be like. And I kind of asked myself this question. I was like, okay, if I dedicate myself like diligently, if I work hard in this company for the next 10 to 15 years, what could happen, right? What could happen? Maybe I could get, a good position, managerial role or something like that. But conversely, what could happen if I like go by myself, if I dedicate diligently the same amount of work, working hard for the next 10 to 15 years on my own, like for my own company, for my own business, which I didn't know what it was at the time. So, the sky was the limit at that point. So I went ahead and take the plunge. I did the jump. I never looked back. I never like sent a resume ever again in my life after that. And it was kind of a big deal because it took me a while to get to that job, to get to that position. And then my family were all like, rattled about the fact that I was quitting. But I went ahead and did it anyways. And I learned a lot, the past like almost decade and a half. So it's been quite a ride, let me tell you. So.
What is it like? I mean, it sounds like a great ride, getting to experience in corporate and going out on your own. What is it like when the people that love you the most are saying, hey, are you stupid? Don't do this. Why would you quit this job? What is it like when you have that belief that things will eventually come your way, but people around you are not being so supportive?
Yeah, no, that's definitely hard. I remember that, that's definitely hard because I think that they're coming, especially my parents and whatnot, they're coming out of love, right? They were worried about me. I was young, I was 20 something. So they were worried about me. So they were coming from this position of love. They were also pretty supportive in some other regards and whatnot. But the reality is that one of the things that hit me the most, and I was like, well, the first like 2 to 3 years of my career, I was like, hey, should I go back and get a job? Because I saw my friends, people that I went through high school, with, and then to university, I saw my friends and they were getting like, they were getting bigger and better houses and bigger and better cars, and they were getting promotions, and they were getting a good job and whatnot. So I'm like, should I go back and do this? Should I go back and get a job and whatnot? But I remember that over that period, I was kind of a lot of soul searching. I was a lot of kind of figuring out what to do. I didn't know. I knew that it was internet related with computers, but I didn't really know what it was going to be. And then at some point, I came across this website called Fiverr.com, right? Mm-hmm. Now, Fiverr.com 10 years ago is not the Fiverr.com that we know of today. Back in the day, there was a lot of scrappy marketers doing scrappy stuff, and we were a rough bunch selling stuff on Fiverr. So you go there to get something done for $5. And I remember that the first breakthrough that I had, I started writing articles for people. That was the first gig that I had. I started offering articles on Fiverr.com for $4 a pop because they would take $1 out of the top. Right. So I would get $4 per article. But the first time that my first breakthrough was when a complete stranger over the internet gave me money for a service, right? For somebody that I didn't know who that person was. They hired me on Fiverr.com, and they gave me my first $4 that I made online from a completely stranger. So that was kind of a big breakthrough for me. And I was like, okay, well, there is something here. I can make this work. I can actually, put food on the table. I can actually pay the rent. I can actually do this by working remotely, by working online, by working for strangers, the other side of the world, with what was, a really big deal. So that was kind of the first breakthrough. And I just kept at it. I thank everyone around me for their love, but I just kept at it, and then I never looked back. So.
Well, congratulations. So tell us about the work you do as a digital agency then. What kind of work do you do, and who do you serve?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, throughout my career over the past 13, 14 years, I've had to learn to do a little bit of everything, right? Because I needed it and I wanted to learn. So I had to learn how to put together websites. I had to learn to write copy, to put together landing pages, to do all of the tech stuff, to run ads, to send emails and whatnot. And luckily, I've been blessed enough to work with some of these big names, and I learned a lot working for them and with them, right? And right now at Scale Driven, which is, my main business right now, what we do is we serve mostly people that have a high ticket coaching or consulting or product or service, right? That's who we mostly serve. And we serve them in many capacities. One of them is we run ads for them, like on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Google, YouTube, TikTok. We run ads for them. We also create and generate sales funnels, like marketing funnels for these folks. And we take care of all of the follow-up, all of the email automations, SMS automations, and all of the tech stuff that goes behind it. So basically, we are an ally. We are their marketing partner to generate more revenue through paid advertising and sales funnels. And that's basically what we do right now and who we serve.
That's very clear. So why... small business owners listening in right now, why in most cases would it be better to hire a company like yourselves to do all that rather than trying to figure it out on their own?
Yeah, I love that question. And that's a question that, I ask myself and I get asked a lot. I think that you need to, so first off, let me tell you, as a digital marketer, so I've been on both sides of the fence. Right now I own a digital marketing agency, but I've also hired digital marketing agencies to fulfill some services, right? As an entrepreneur and business owner. So I've been on both sides of the fence. And something that I realized is that a digital marketing agency, as much as advertising in general, what people tend to think is that it's not the end all be all, right? A digital marketing agency will not come in and save your business and turn your business around. And that is something that, I see a lot of people with the wrong expectations, and a lot of business owners is like, okay, I'm going to bring this partner, this agency, and they're going to turn my business around. The reality is that, we do a lot of advertising, and I always say the same thing, is that advertising will only amplify what's already there, right? Advertising will only amplify what's already there. So if you have a poor offer, advertising will not make that offer perform better, right? Yeah. If you have a low performing sales team, advertising will only give you more leads to burn through, right? If you have operational issues, advertising or bringing in a digital marketing agency will only make those issues worse, because now you have you kind of open the floodgates of leads, but you cannot service them, right? So I think that you need to be in a position when you are ready and set and go to scale. That's when you bring in a partner. That's when you bring in a partner like a digital marketing agency to help you scale, to help you go to the next level, to help you with your proven offer, maybe making it better, maybe adding more offers, which is something that we do for clients, is we consult with them on those type of things. But what I think is that, again, a digital marketing agency or an advertising agency will not like change your business around, but it can help you scale what's already working. So if you start the conversation with that relationship or with that mindset, right? If you start the conversation with that type of mindset, I think that would be a lot more conducive for success, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, what I'm hearing you say, thanks, Hernan, I'm hearing you say that when you have a proven offer, that product, that solution, that people are already buying, and you're really ready to scale it at pace, then you need someone like Hernan to really tweak it all, get it all ready. So when advertising spend goes behind it, it can just fly and give you good returns. So I presume with all your clients, it's about getting that right and getting them returns on the spend that they are putting out there, right?
Yeah, exactly. We're a direct response marketing agency, right? So every dollar needs to be held accountable. Every dollar needs to bring at least $1 back or more. So we have, for example, a lot of clients come to us because they do have a proven offer, they do have a proven business, and they've been relying heavily, for example, on referrals or word of mouth. And they've been relying heavily on organic social media or something like that. But they realize that in order for them to have more leads, more conversations, more opportunity, more revenue, they need to start advertising and they need to start, getting leads from the internet. So that's the position where you are. I think that that's a good position to be in, because now you get to choose who you want to partner up with or who you want to bring on board. And you get to decide also if you want to do this with a partner or if you want to do this internally, right? If you want to build your own marketing team. That's another question that I get asked a lot is, should I go out there and hire a digital marketing agency, or should I build my own internal team? And the answer is, generally speaking, what I've seen that works the best is, first, you partner up with somebody. Again, you have a proven offer, you have a proven sales process, and you're ready to scale. You partner up with somebody to get you to the next level. And then at some point, it just makes more sense for you to start building your own internal team, right? Because now you have, ideally, your partner will help you with processes. It might even help you hiring people. It might even help you, going through those things. So at that point, you have built an internal team, and then you just bring operations in-house. That has been kind of the MO that we've been having with many of our clients. Is like we scale them to the point that it just makes more sense for them to build their internal team, and off they go. For us, that is a big win. We consider that a win for a client. So
awesome. And then if you're listening in, Hernan and his organization in the last 7 years alone have generated over $200 million in revenue for some of the big brands out there. Now, tell me something. How did you get to work with the teams at Grant Cardone, Russell Brunson's team, Tony Robbins' team, Frank Kern's team, and many, many more? What's your secret sauce to get through that door?
I love that question. I actually love that question. So I think that it has to do with two things, right? The first thing is, you want to position yourself in, or you want to get yourself in a position when you're learning and you're close to those people that are in the position that you want to be a couple of years from now, right? So that's the power of mentorship and the power of being in masterminds and whatnot. So generally speaking, what I did is, growing up, I'm a big marketing geek, big marketing dork. Like, you cannot see on the back of my wall, but I have like a picture of Dan Kennedy. I have a picture of David Ogilvy. Like, I have copywriting books. So I've always been kind of a massive dork when it comes to marketing and copywriting and advertising. So growing up and going through my career, my heroes were these guys, right? So I asked myself, okay, how can I get to work with some of these folks? And the first thing that I did was to invest in their relationship, was to invest in their masterminds, invest in their communities, even when it was a big deal for me to invest. Like, for example, I remember that one of the first products that I bought from Frank Kern was I joined his continuity program, his community. It was called the Network back in the day. It was called the Frank Kern Inner Circle first, and then it became the Network. And it was $400 a month. It was a lot of money for me, to invest in a community. But I went ahead and, I went ahead and made an investment and whatnot. And then I started being really, really helpful in that community. At that point, I was full on running ads for, clients, for myself and whatnot. So every time an ad question will come up, I would try to answer it, right, on a Facebook group. And then they had their own community. So I was extremely helpful with every single member of that community, to the point that I got really well known as the ad guy, right, in that community.
Wow.
So when Frank and his team had a need for an ad guy, the first thing that they did is they searched inside of the community and my name came up, right? So my name came up and that's how I started working with him. And then I became, his main advertising guy and his marketing director and whatnot for 3.5 years. And I think that it has to do with being in that community, but also becoming, noticeable by giving away as much value as possible, so that the people that are close to the proximity, or they have proximity to the power source, right? They're close to the top. They can notice you and they can bring you in and whatnot. And that also creates a lot of opportunity for you. But I think that if there's one thing that has kind of changed my life in many ways, is this position to be as helpful as possible and actually help people one-on-one in these communities, so that you can create opportunity, but also you get noticed by other places in the community and potentially the community, founder. Does that make sense?
It makes absolute sense. Give value, help people, show that you know what you're talking about. And by adding value to other people and being noticed. And something you said as well is the way you expose yourself decently, expose yourself through proximity. Whether you're buying their programs or in their masterminds, it's invaluable. So thank you for saying that. I want to go down the line of ads, whether you're running ads on Instagram or Facebook or Google or wherever, the algorithms change and it catches people out. What's the new way to run ads based on some of the changes that have been happening at Apple and these different places, which have caught some people with their pants down?
Yeah, they did. Big time. And so what we're noticing right now is, right now we're in these kind of weird economic times, and whatnot. The US is going into a potential recession, and there's some weirdness happening around the world in terms of economics and whatnot. So something that I learned working with some of these people is that this is the time to double down on marketing and advertising. This is the time where they go out there and they actually increase their advertising budgets instead of decreasing them, right? And the reason they do this is really simple, because if you think about it in these times, with massive layoffs in techs and all that, what's happening is that many of these multi-million, multi-billion-dollar companies, they're pulling their advertising spend out of these platforms. They're actually decreasing, because of course there's a lot of uncertainty when it comes to investors and stock and stakeholders and all that. So they, generally speaking, they lower their budgets. Now, lowering their budgets in these networks, that basically means that they're freeing up hundreds of millions of dollars in advertising spend on these platforms, right? And people they still go in on Instagram, they still go to YouTube, they still go to Facebook. So the eyeballs are still there. There's just less competition for the same amount of eyeballs, right? So what happens is that for us, small business owners, it creates a big opportunity to acquire clicks, to acquire eyeballs, to acquire market share, to acquire buyers and leads at a discount, basically, right? So that's what's happening right now, is that I'm seeing that the only time that Facebook advertising costs went down was during the pandemic, right? That's where Facebook advertising costs plummeted because nobody was advertising. And I was working for a client back in the day where I was their marketing director, and they went from 0 to $100 million in valuation in 3 years because they rode the pandemic wave and they went all out with marketing, right? Wow. So that's the power of investing in these cycles where when things go back to normal, then you can, get on top because you acquire a lot of market share while your competitors were retreating. So that's the first thing, kind of in a macro level. But in order, to answer your question in terms of the algorithms, what we're noticing is that, the iOS 14 created a lot of havoc in advertising, and the rules have changed. Right now, what we use is, for example, you cannot rely that much on the pixel, just the pixel, which is a piece of code that you install on your website. You cannot just rely on that to effectively track what's going on after somebody clicks out of Facebook, for example. So we are using a lot of third-party tracking tools, right, that communicate directly to the Facebook pixel so that you don't lose that performance, right, when it comes to machine learning. But also something that we're noticing is that the game is changing from targeting, like who you're going to target with your ads and whatnot. The networks are kind of taking away the power on the advertiser to actually target your ideal demographic, which is not necessarily a bad thing because they have a lot of data points of their users, right? So Facebook has a lot more data on their users than I could ever have, for example, right? So what's happening is that we're seeing that the tendency is shifting from going really deep and trying to hone in into that ideal audience. We're going from there into a much more creative heavy game. What do I mean? I mean that your creatives, your video ads, your image ads, all of the ads that you're putting out there, they need to become better, and they need to become more magnetic to those people that you want to target and that you want to attract into your funnel. So we're kind of slowly seeing a shift from, targeting, right? From trying to target and honing into our ideal audiences, which you still can, but there's some, we don't have the targeting power that we used to have a couple of years ago for privacy reasons and whatnot, into a more like creative heavy game. So now whoever wins, it's going to be the people that are putting out the best creatives, that are putting creatives that are really helpful, videos that are really helpful, but also they're magnetic to the people that they want to work with, and they repel those people that they don't want to work with. So that's one of the major shifts that we're seeing after, running ads for clients and running ads for ourselves.
Wow, the game is changing, like you said. Wow, I mean, that is a golden nugget. Everyone listening now need to understand. So what I'm hearing Hernan say, it's not about the targeting. Yes, it's still very important. You've still got to get that targeting right. But if you can't get people to stop to look at your post or look at your ad or look at your video or look at your thing, the picture, then nothing's going to happen. So now it gives you an idea that, hey, got to get creative. And if you don't know how to do that, that's why people like Hernan do what they do. That's why they get the kind of result that they get. Now, thank you for sharing that, Hernan. I really appreciate it. For those people who are wanting to, I'm going to come back to you in a moment. I just want to say you're listening to the Business of Wealth show with Hernan Vasquez and Matt Attram here. And remember to like, share, and also comment. And what are you getting out of this? What are the golden nuggets for you? And also ask questions on this as well. Just let us know. Subscribe, follow, whichever channel you're on. I want to go to Hernan and say, those who want to get hold of you and want to work with you or want to contact you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, Hernan Vasquez in all networks. Like if you search for my name, I will pop up. Definitely on Instagram. We have a YouTube channel that has like 6 years plus worth of content, 7 years worth of content. So there's a lot of good stuff there. We talk about entrepreneurship. We talk about advertising. Lately, we've been talking a little bit about AI and whatnot in that channel as well. How we are using AI for our clients and for ourselves. So that's, a good resource. And then if you want to learn more about what we do, just head over to scaledriven.com. We have a little message there on that page. And if that resonates with you, you can schedule a call. You can see more about what we do right there at scaledriven.com.
Scaledriven.com. We'll add it to the footnotes as well. On the last question I want to ask you, which is more around, you just mentioned it, AI. What is Tell us about the future of marketing as it relates to artificial intelligence.
That's a great question. And, you know, we are in the really early stages of AI development, right? Like, for example, right now, I read a couple days ago that only 8% of people are using, for example, ChatGPT for business related stuff.
8%?
92, wow. Yeah, 8%. 92% of people are just, you know, just doing some other stuff with ChatGPT. So only 8% of us are using ChatGPT in a business related way. So one of the things that I tell our students and we tell our clients and whatnot is that the earlier you jump into this trend, the better. Because right now what we're noticing is that it's helping us, like, for example, ChatGPT and other tools, it's helping us at scale driven, it's helping us save a ton of time. Like, you know, we can increase productivity, but also we can increase the quality of the output that we put out, right? For example, on copywriting, we can get the ChatGPT and whatnot to write a lot of the copywriting. Of course, we still have human copywritings, you know, copywriters to take a look and adapt what we get out of the tool, but it saves a ton of time. But not only that, it also allows us to be more productive and focus on those things that matter. So I think that if anything, I don't think AI is going to replace anyone. I think that if anything, it's going to free up our time, which is it's already doing, to focus on those things that AI might not do as well, like being creative, coming up with new offers, coming up with new ways of benefiting our audiences, and focus on what matters, right? Focus on the strategic side of things and not that much on the tactics side of things. So that is something that we are noticing that's happening right now with AI. And, you know, it would only get better from here. I'm really excited to see what's coming up. But right now it's helping us save a ton of time and increase our output. And we're actually getting really, really good results internally for our team and for our clients as well. So
that's awesome. Great answer there. Hey, Hernan, I want to say, thank you for all the information you shared with us. Thank you for inspiring us. Thank you for, you know, all the golden nuggets we've got here. And until we speak again, thank you to everyone listening in. Thank you for listening as well. Thank you, Hernan.
Thank you, Matt. It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Thank you all.